Well, good morning and welcome to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom. We are broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Marcus Street in Corning, and I'm very glad that you've joined us this morning. We have a lot to cover. Yes, of course, we're going to talk about Jimmy Kimmel. We have updates. As a matter of fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to read some viewer comments, and then we're going to get into a lot of updates to start the program, because it just seems like there's a slew of things to catch up on before we talk about Jimmy Kimmel, and kind of a schedule change from normal. Normally it's Fridays with Phil, but don't adjust your calendar. It's Wednesdays with Phil this week. We were so busy last week, as you know, I took a couple days off. And so I asked Phil if he could do Wednesday, and I appreciate it. He could move his schedule around. So we're going to have Assemblyman Phil Palmisano on the program. So get your questions in this morning. We're going to talk to him about the energy tour. That has been quite a topic of discussion here on the program. But let's get right to it. Comment from Mark. Good morning to Mark, as he wishes us all a good morning. I watched a clip with Jimmy Kimmel, and Trump was right. He is a poor actor. He could not even act like he was sorry for what he said. I kind of jokingly said, I don't know if I said on this program or off the air, about how much Jimmy Kimmel cries about legislation or about an election or whatever the case. I didn't think he would cry in this scenario, but he did nearly allegedly break up a little bit, and it was, to me, disingenuous what he was saying. But we're going to talk about it in depth a little bit later on. Not that we have a lot of time this morning, because we have so much to cover. Comment from Steve. I'm Frank. He's Steve. Good morning, Frank. Steve here. Well, hi, Steve. Good morning to you, too. Looks like Trump has finally had enough with Putin's delays and lies. The okay for Ukraine to go on the offensive is finally going to be allowed to go forward. When Trump makes a post saying that Ukraine may be able to take back land that it has lost, it shows that the time has finally come. Watch how quick Putin wants to renegotiate. Trump will probably make him wait, as he should. It will be a statement, in my opinion, that will turn the tide. Thank you very much, Steve. Yes, that big news yesterday, Trump's speech. You probably saw it right here on Big Fox in front of the UN. Well, the president posted on Truth Social after he met with Ukraine's President Zelensky when they met on the sidelines. He said on Truth Social, after getting to know and fully understand the Ukraine-Russia military and economic situation, and after seeing the economic trouble it is causing Russia, I think Ukraine, with the support of the European Union, is in a position to fight and win all of Ukraine back in its original form. He said that with the financial support of NATO, returning Ukraine to its original borders is very much an option. He added that Russia has been fighting aimlessly for 3.5 years, a war that should have taken a real military power less than a week to win. This is not distinguishing Russia. He suggested that once Russian citizens realize how much is being spent on fighting Ukraine, which he said has great spirit and only getting better, Ukraine would be able to take back their country in its original form, and who knows, maybe even go further than that. Trump said Russian President Vladimir Putin and his country are in big economic trouble, and this is the time for Ukraine to act. He said the United States will continue to supply weapons to NATO for NATO to do what they want with them. Asked about Trump's post, Ukraine President Zelensky told reporters it's a big shift. This post of Trump's is a big shift, very positive. He also said that we have better relations. The U.S. and Ukraine has better relations than before. Also, Trump said that NATO countries should shoot down Russian jets that violate airspace. When asked, do you think, this is the question, reporter asked the president, do you think that NATO countries should shoot down Russian aircrafts if they enter their airspace? 3 simple words. Yes, I do. Well, there you go. Yes, quite a shift. What did he call Russia a paper tiger? We're going to talk a little bit about that later on. Oh, hey, look at this. Good morning to you, too. Tonya, am I saying that right? Tanya or Tonya? Tone is in the musical sound, or Tanya? Thanks for joining us. I appreciate it. And I appreciate the wave this morning. All right, we're getting off to a great start with waves. Appreciate that. Also at the UN, and I don't know how much we'll be able to get into depth in this, and I do have a lot of updates we need to get to this morning, but I do not want to skip over this because this has huge implications. The Secret Service found and seized an illicit network of sophisticated equipment in the New York region that was capable of shutting down the cellular network as foreign leaders, of course, prepared to gather at the UN General Assembly. They discovered more than 100,000 SIM cards and 300 servers. Could you imagine what that would do to New York City? Disabling cellular towers, or perhaps be used to conduct. Which one was it? Yes. Okay. Tonya. I'm going to say Tonya. Thank you for joining us. Okay. So it could have, you imagine what that would do to New York City in general, not just the fact that the UN is obviously the General Assembly taking place. Officials said the anonymous communications network, but I think about that with the potential surveillance. It'll be interesting to see where exactly this was coming from. Of course, we always talk about China and their surveillance, and it's not even a conspiracy theory. We've learned that there's been extra devices implanted in these solar panels that could perhaps potentially shut down the grid or also be used for surveillance. Officials said the anonymous communications network, again, 100,000 SIM cards, 300 servers, could interfere with emergency response services. That's a little scary. And you saw perhaps what is being called sabotage the moment Trump steps on the escalator to the General Assembly and it stops. That's not just a coincidence. Now, is that minuscule? Yeah, it is. But you think about a lot of eerie things, especially in light of the assassination attempt on the president, of course, the assassination of Charlie Kirk and these type of things. It makes it a very scary scenario. So not something to be taken lightly. And on top of that, now we have what could have been a way to interfere with emergency response services and could be used to conduct encrypted communication. One official said the network was capable of sending 30 million text messages per minute anonymously. The official said the agency had never before seen such an extensive operation. There's no specific information that the network, now dismantled, posed a threat to the conference itself, said the Secret Service. Again, these are people, and this is the New York Times, take it with a grain of salt, but it was people speaking on the condition of anonymity. The agency leads the security for the UN meeting this week. Man, the Secret Service is busy, aren't they? The conference draws more than 100 foreign leaders and their staff and has been described as the Super Bowl of spy games. The scale of the equipment discovered suggests the network could be part of a nation's surveillance operations. Initial analysis of the data on some of the SIM cards has identified ties to at least one foreign nation, as well as links to criminals already known to U.S. law enforcement officials, including cartel members. Ooh. Who is this? Matt McCool, the top agent at the Secret Service's New York field office. Okay, so you're the top agent at the Secret Service in New York, and your last name is McCool? He was born for that job. Matt McCool, which also sounds kind of like an old Western hero, too. We will continue working toward identifying those responsible and their intent, including whether their plan was to disrupt the UN General Assembly and communications of government and emergency personnel during the official visit of world leaders in and around New York City. Wow. Scary scenario, and thank you to the Secret Service for, of course, bringing down that network. Thank you for the statement from Matt McCool. All right. Also, some updates. I know we are going to run so late this morning. Tonya. I'm sorry I'm screwing this up so bad. Tanya. Tonya? Sorry. All right. We've got a couple of updates here from stories that we brought to you last couple of weeks and even months. How am I doing? Can I get to one more story before we take a break? Yes, we can. Oh, my goodness. We have a lot of... Oh, yeah, the teleprompter was also... Thank you for all these waves, my goodness. People get excited when Phil Palmisano is going to be on the air. I know that. The teleprompter was also an issue. I know, because Trump even made a joke about that. He talked about the fact that he wanted to be the one that kind of remodeled the UN building, but he also said, so we got a broken escalator, I'm paraphrasing, and now a broken teleprompter. Now, I've got to say, if you're a world leader or a dignitary at that meeting, and you know Trump has basically just been given the green light to go off teleprompter because the teleprompter is broken, there was a lot of nervous dignitaries in that building yesterday. Because you never know, and Trump supporters, I think, would agree with this. People that don't like Trump, you never know an off-teleprompter comment from Trump, what you could get. And that's not a negative. It's just Trump even saying he likes speaking off the cuff. He's great at it. So one other quick announcement before we take a break, and I see some other comments and waves coming in. Thank you. Donald Trump did cancel his planned meeting with Democratic congressional leaders, according to a post on, I think it was on Truth Social on Tuesday. Trump said that after reviewing the details of the unserious and ridiculous demands being made by the minority radical left Democrats in return for their votes to keep our thriving country open, I've decided that no meeting with their congressional leaders could possibly be productive. It comes one day after it was reported, and we brought to you the story yesterday that Politico was reporting that that the president was going to meet with Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries. Now there is this U-turn, and as you know, the government shutdown is coming up on October 1st. It really looks as if there is going to be a shutdown. The proposals made by the Democrats, as the president has said here, not serious, not done in good faith. Schumer, of course, weighing in, saying Donald Trump can't even negotiate a budget bill with Democrats, this great negotiator. By refusing to even sit down with Democrats, Donald Trump is causing the shutdown. This is a Trump shutdown. Chuck Schumer has been getting a lot of criticism. As a matter of fact, he was booed at the Met Opera the other night. I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a second. But he's been getting a lot of criticism because he hasn't been enough of the resistance. He's kind of doing things the old way. And I think that's what we see there with that statement. He's hoping that going after Trump is going to get under Trump's skin. I don't think I'm not saying this is always perfect, but it's not like it used to be. I also think he believes, and probably rightfully so, that the media is going to run with the idea that it's the Republicans that are shutting down the government. That's what they're hoping to achieve. That's what's always been done in the past. I don't think it works this time. I think because of what has been proposed, what they are saying, they're going to try to paint it as Trump's shutdown. Will the American people, and I ask you this, will the American people buy into that? With the statements that have been made by the Hakeem Jeffries and the Chuck Schumers, I think if people are paying attention, that's always a big if, they will know that this is indeed Chuck Schumer's and the Democrat Party's shutdown. But yeah, as I mentioned, this is weird because so Schumer has not been enough of the face of the resistance. He's kind of the old guard. He's the establishment. And now we have the party that likes the Mamadanis and the AOCs and the kind of socialist wing of the Democrat Party. So they're not overly happy with the quote unquote establishment like Chuck Schumer. So Chuck Schumer found out the hard way that when he didn't endorse Mamadani and has not embraced the resistance and the socialism, he was booed for specifically not endorsing Mamadani. Some members of the black tie crowd at the Met Opera's opening night of, I'm going to try, The Amazing Adventures of Cavalier and Clay. That's the opera. It let the Senate Minority Leader know they'd run out of patience with his ongoing decision over the rising political star. People, yeah, he is a political star. I think he's at 45% of the vote right now in the polls. People chanting endorse and Mamadani. They were loud, said one attendee. And yeah, I'm pretty sure he heard it. For good and bad, the acoustics in that place are pretty top notch. I have never seen or heard the audience of the Met go so wild over anything. It's the most prim and proper crowd I've been in, said the attendee. The episode was a sharp reminder of the pressure facing Schumer, whose approval rating has fallen to a 20-year low, and that's why many people want AOC. I don't know if he'll run again. He's not as old as you think he is. I know I do this every time, and I can't ever remember his exact age. But will he run for another term? And if so, will AOC primary him? There's a lot of calls for that, but then there's also that in the back of her mind that she wants to run for president. Keep that in mind. Angelo Rufero, a spokesperson for Schumer, said hearing many things from crowds is a tale as old as time in politics. Chuck loves the people. So getting booed at the Opera. All right. We've got other updates when we come back. Just getting started. Stay with us. This is Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
What better way to start or end every day than relaxing in your very own Hesselson's hot tub? Massage therapy, relaxation, stress reliever, pain management, soothing muscles, or just spending time with a loved one. Hot water therapy really does make every day better. Hesselson's has been a part of this great community for over 70 years, still being locally owned and operated. So make the drive to Hesselson's and start making your path to a better life today. And after 70 years, it's still fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
This is a Sue the Collector consumer alert. Hi, my name is Jared Johnson with SueTheCollector.com. Did you know that repossessions are on the rise in America? If your car, truck, or motorcycle has been repossessed by an agent that broke a lock, assaulted you, or trespassed on your private property, you have rights. Call us for a free case review at 1-877-BAD-REPO. You pay nothing unless we win money for you. Call me now.
Plastic is flooding our planet, hurting wildlife and destroying delicate ecosystems. We can stop this by changing how plastic is made, used, and recycled, and building a better system from the ground up.
It's a beautiful day. Sky falls, you feel like it's a beautiful day.
A clean planet is possible. Let's build it together.
The best 2 hours of NFL coverage, starting with Fox NFL Kickoff at 11.
This is great TV.
It is caught! Then at noon, take it to the next level on Fox NFL Sunday.
This kid has it all.
Touchdown! America's #1 pregame show. The best NFL pregame shows are...
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security and Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, having a blast already here on the program. Let's go to some viewer comments. Trump also said, whoever did shut down the escalator and teleprompter, they're in big trouble. Yes, he said that as part of his speech. That's the off teleprompter, Trump. Comment from a different viewer. Have you seen Speaker Johnson's ad that he's been running? I haven't. Showing all the Democrats saying that a government shutdown should never happen or occur. Wow. Democrats wouldn't do anything to ever cause a shutdown, LOL. It is an awesome commercial. I'll have to check that out. That's a great use of money to spread that message. Because, yeah, how many times have they... Well, you know, you got to see. It's just whenever it's convenient for them. Because, remember, when Chuck Schumer stopped the government shutdown, that's one of the reasons why he's being booed at the Opera. Now, yes, is it also because he hasn't endorsed Mamdani? Sure it is. But... there's also that part of the party that likes Mamdani who also didn't want him to work with Trump any way, shape, or form. So they didn't mind the government shutdown in that scenario. They painted themselves into a lot of corners. As a matter of fact, there's an article that I just have a feeling we won't be able to get to by Liz Peek at Fox News if you want to check it out. But Trump sets trap for Democrats on crime, and they're walking right into it. Another example of pushing them in a direction that's not popular with American voters. Comment from a different viewer. I think there are something like 7 weeks left for budget negotiations. So the Democrats submitted $1 trillion addition to the bill, and they have the audacity to say that if the government shuts down, that it is the Republicans' fault. What a bunch of losers. Thank you very much. Yesterday, Ryan Roth was found guilty, convicted of attempting to assassinate Trump. I didn't realize, I'll be completely honest, I didn't realize how wild this trial had become. So he tried to stab himself with a pen after being convicted of the assassination attempt. He took his pen and started trying to jab himself in the neck. Courtroom marshals sprung to action and dragged him out of the room as his daughter, Sarah Roth, screamed at her father. And then she started screaming after the fact, too, to the reporters. She sounded very much like Hunter Biden. Not a single word I could use in her comments. So a few minutes later, Roth was brought back into the courtroom with shackles on. He wasn't wearing the jacket and tie from earlier, but there was no signs of blood. The judge set his sentencing date for December 18th, where he could face life in prison. The jurors took about 2 hours to find Roth guilty of 5 federal charges of attempted assassination, assault on a federal officer, and gun crimes following a 2-week trial in Fort Pierce. Trump took to Truth Social last night, thanking the judge and jury for their professionalism and patience, and thanked the Secret Service agent who stopped Roth for his instinct and foresight. This was an evil man with an evil intention, and they caught him. A very big moment for justice in America. So Roth was a construction worker, had no formal legal training. He was representing himself. Not ever a good idea. And he put on what has been called an amateur and bizarre defense. At one point, he even talked about playing Trump in golf in a match to the death. This was one of the things that he pushed as his own defense. He suggested that he and Trump face off on the green, and if Trump won, the president could execute Roth. If Roth won, he proposed he would become president. Do you think he was going for the insanity defense in that scenario? I guess there's been so many stunts that the judge slammed him over and over again. You know the story. I guess having watched some of it, read about some of it, I didn't realize it had gone that crazy. Talking about things like prehistoric human history and world leaders like Hitler, Putin, others. This case means absolutely nothing. A life has been lived to the fullest, he told jurors at one point, which is probably not a great thing to tell jurors. But yes, he was found guilty in his attempt to assassinate President Trump. At that time, I think GOP nominee. I think he was actually president-elect maybe at that point. But just to show you just quickly, the media losing all credibility. The New York Times accidentally published the wrong article. They worked a little too far ahead. In journalism, outlets often pre-write obituaries, election outcomes, and potential court verdicts of major cases before they occur so that they can publish it first, be the first there. However, a screenshot indicated that the New York Times accidentally published a headline, "Man found not guilty of trying to assassinate Trump in Florida." The lead of the now scrubbed article added, in a surprise verdict, a federal jury acquitted Ryan Roth of attempting to assassinate a major presidential candidate last year. The screenshot also indicated the article would be published in the print edition on February 24th. That'd be interesting if it actually did make the print edition. I doubt that it had. But no, he was indeed found guilty in that case. By the way, as one... All right, we've got... I'm going to have a whole show of updates before we get to actually some other topics, like Jimmy Kimmel. Did you happen to catch Jimmy Kimmel? Did you stay up late? What were your thoughts? It seemed, again, I just watched a clip. Seemed, he was defiant. He did not apologize. He tried to almost paint himself as the victim. Not almost. He painted himself as the victim by, saying that I would never make light of an assassination of a young man, or I would never try to put politics in. That's exactly, he did try to put politics in this, trying to blame MAGA. You saw it all. We've talked about it for a week now. We're going to talk about it later on. We also have a couple New York updates, but we're probably going to save those for the Assemblyman who will be joining us coming up in the 7 o'clock hour. So stay with us. Loving the waves, loving the comments coming in. We'll be right back after this.
When you're online, don't forget to visit our Facebook page at Big Fox News. Catch up on news from the Twin Tiers. Vote on the daily question and hear about local events. All on Facebook.com/Big Fox News.
It's a brand new 2025 Hyundai Tucson SEL all-wheel drive featuring power liftgate and heated seats. No money down for only $369 a month for 36 months. Make car buying simple. Drive your deal at Simmons Rockwell Hyundai in Big Flats.
I was a veteran and she was injured in the line of duty.
I hurt my leg in a training accident when she was only 2 years old.
She had 7 different surgeries over the span of 9 years, and there were tons of complications.
I couldn't be the mom my kids needed me to be.
She missed so much.
After my last surgery, I got an infection so bad I thought it was going to kill me.
I told her she couldn't leave me yet. There was still so much she had to see. I hadn't even graduated.
I'm doing much better now. I'm an active part of my kids' lives.
She can kick a mean soccer ball.
DAV's been there for me and my family. Through thick and thin, they've had our back.
Every year, DAV helps more than 1 million veterans like Sandy get the health and disability benefits they've earned so they can achieve victories great and small.
My victory is getting my life back. I may have lost my leg, but I've gained so much. I got my joy back.
We got our mom back, thanks to DAV.
Support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
No matter where you are, too many kids are going hungry and without. Together, we can help children thrive. Feed the Children is committed to creating an America and a world where no child goes to bed hungry.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back. What is that, a UFO? We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. Let's get right back into it. Update from yesterday's broadcast. We talked about Keith Olbermann, though he is not relevant. And I thought that was a really good point that someone had made, that Jimmy Kimmel's falling down that path of Keith Olbermann, who is no longer relevant. But some reason, we brought him up every day this week, but he is not relevant. It's just the fact that he made what could only be deemed as a threat to Scott Jennings. Scott Jennings from CNN. We talked about him a lot, especially during the election season. He said something to the extent of, Scott Jennings, you're next. Or blanker, you're next. That's what it is. You're next, blanker. Okay. Jennings was realized that he got some pushback on that. Or not Jennings, excuse me. Olbermann realized that it was not the best look. Jennings was alarmed enough by Olbermann's murderous threats that he reposted the vile post and asked the FBI if they might want to keep an eye on Olbermann. It appears that enough people warned Olbermann that he had gone severely off the rails with his threats at Jennings, prompting him to apologize and delete his offensive post. I apologize without reservation to Scott Jennings. But he still refused to accept that he had made threats to Jennings' life, claiming only that he meant to threaten Jennings' career, saying, yesterday I wrote and immediately deleted 2 responses to him about Kimmel because they could be misinterpreted as a threat to anything besides his career. In a second post, Olbermann added that all times are the wrong time to leave even an inadvertent impression of it. But this time is especially wrong. I should have acknowledged the deletion and apologized yesterday. I'm sorry I delayed. Then, after he made what was an apology, he goes on a deranged anti-Trump rant. I'm not going to go into what he said. It has very weird. We'll just put it that way. Words I would not use on the air. But that's just an update from yesterday. Also an update, and I think this was from Monday's show. A New York judge has found credible evidence that Oregon Senator Ron Wyden's kids terrorized their mom's personal assistant with abhorrent homophobic slurs before his suicide. This is Oregon Senator Ron Wyden, Democrat. If you recall the story, I think I brought it up right at the end of the program. What had happened was essentially his kids, I think he was the person who committed suicide was basically an aide to Wyden's wife, but the kids were so really disgusting towards him. The lawsuit alleges that it's what caused him to take his own life. Wyden's wife and the kid's mom, Nancy Bass Wyden, who owns the Big Apple's famed Strand bookstore, largely didn't object to the accusations her former assistant, Brandon O'Brien, raised during their fight over unemployment benefits, noted the administrative law judge. O'Brien ended up committing suicide in May, allegedly driven to taking his own life after working for Bass Wyden for 2 years, according to a wrongful death suit filed by the worker's widowed husband, Thomas Maltozas, against her real estate company, citing the alleged abuse. And I don't want to go into the words and the things that these kids used. It was a very hostile work environment. but I just want to give you an update because we had very little on it on, I believe it was Monday's broadcast. But a New York judge has found credible evidence that Senator Ron Wyden's kids relentlessly harassed the wife's assistant before their suicide. Okay, that was a quick update. Also, I know, I'm sorry I'm going so fast. I want to mention this. We talked about Jerry Nadler's seat and some of the names that are being thrown around. One is, I think it was John F. Kennedy's grandson, who goes really, troll-esque on social media. The Post editorial board says it's hacks, hard lefties, and Nepo babies. The Democrats' options to succeed Nadler show why the party is dying. And they go through his tweets and his posts. I don't want to go through all of that. But some of the other names being thrown around, we heard that Chelsea Clinton, maybe, Cynthia Nixon, who ran a primary challenge against Cuomo back in the day. But the unappetizing bunch seems to be the best that Upper West and East Side Democrats can offer. Something's gone badly wrong with the New York City's party's farm system. The only thing saving it now is the Republicans' weakness. No wonder the Democrat socialists are taking over. I thought that was a good point. Another quick update. So Sarah, a good friend of Frankly Speaking, Sarah sent this in yesterday, and I've got to admit I've been fascinated by it, and it's one of those things because we have so much to talk about. I would say I would highly encourage you to do some of your own research on it, but I wanted to give you an update, and this is on the ostrich farm in British Columbia, where the Canadian Food Inspection Agency ordered a cull and disposal of about 400 ostriches after an outbreak of the avian flu. But because of herd immunity, hence the definition of herd immunity, there's no real reason to cull these birds. They're not meat birds. This is what I find so fascinating. And also because it's Canada, the media is scared to report on it. So you have to go to outside sources in many instances. So some of mine, even here, that I'm just giving you what I think are the cold hard facts may not be accurate, because if you look at the history of Canadian media, specifically go back to COVID and those times, and look how they handled it. But several tractor trailers loaded high with hay rolled onto Universal Ostrich Farm yesterday, not long after the arrest of two key people in the movement to stop the animals from being killed. This is an update from yesterday. Ostriches could be seen grazing beyond the wall, where 4 people wearing head-to-toe white protective suits were visible from the highway near the farm. Officials have not confirmed why the wall was installed or when the cull will happen. Well, we know why the wall was installed, so there wouldn't be the optics or the visuals, because there are still people, citizen journalists, real journalists, taking video, taking photos. It says here, and I think a little bit of it got cut off, but some stayed overnight amid the birds. The two women were loaded into police vans Tuesday morning. Dave Belinsky, the other owner of the farm, said he voluntarily left the enclosure before the arrest because he had to remove his truck from inside the pen. Belinsky, who still had blood crusted on his ears from receiving what he referred to as love bites from the ostriches earlier that day, said the women knew they would be arrested, but they wanted it to happen to where the crowd had gathered. So 2 arrested. The hay bales are set up. Sounds like it's only a matter of time before this call happens, which, again, it may have happened already. This was posted just a few hours ago when I started the program this morning. But the call for absolutely no reason that I could see of other than government overreach of 400 birds. The farm has been fighting this for over 10 months. It is fascinating. I know we focus on international stories and foreign stories sometimes, but in Canada, we don't often talk about Canada. So this is kind of interesting to me, and I think the reason why I continue to bring it up is not because I appreciate Sarah letting us know, but also because I think it's important to see what happens when government starts. It's death by a million paper cuts, right? The growing of their power more and more, the government overreach, and that's what it seems like for no reason that I can see or that many can see. 400 birds are about to be killed, ostriches, for no other reason than the Canadian Food Inspection Agency wants it. By the way, why were those two people arrested? Quote, obstructing Canadian Food Inspection Agency agents from performing their duties. Yikes. That sounds a little Orwellian, doesn't it? Okay. Thank you for that, for driving me down that rabbit hole of doing research on that yesterday. It is. It's fascinating to me because that's the kind of thing when we talk about big government, what scares us all as conservatives. If you have any updates on that, keep it coming in. We got a lot of comments coming in. I know we're all getting excited for Phil Palmisano. We're having a blast this morning. We're having a good time. Appreciate it. Thank you for joining us on this Wednesday as Assemblyman Phil Palmisano making the move, not doing last Friday. He's going to do on Wednesday. I appreciate him being able to be so flexible with his schedule. Tomorrow on the program, we're going to talk with Apple Ridge, who has a health fair coming up. You're not going to want to miss this. A very important kind of public service announcement to find out more about their upcoming health fair. And then on Friday, round 2 with our friends from San Giovanni Valderno, Italy. They'll be joining us. This is a different group of students, but they'll be joining us to tell us an update of how their trip is going so far. That is the Corning Sister Cities group, and they're right from San Giovanni Valderno, Italy. And also on Friday, we're going to be talking with Corning mayoral candidate Pam Walker. All right, there's my housekeeping. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
When you're online, don't forget to visit our Facebook page at Big Fox News. Catch up on news from the Twin Tiers. Vote on the daily question and hear about local events. All on Facebook.com/Big Fox News.
Do it all with Steel Battery. Get a free extra battery with the MSA 70 CB chainsaw set or BGA 60 blower set. Hurry into your local Steel dealer or shop online.
Oh, dear coach.
Dear coach, they don't teach you that inner strength is the most important kind of strong. But you taught me that.
They don't teach you how to build confidence in yourself or how to deal with all the pressures all at once. But you taught me that.
First tee was more than golf. It's where I discovered what I'm capable of.
You didn't just prepare me for 18 holes. You were preparing me for every day of my life. Learn more at firsttee.org.
Dante Brown, Big Fox News, Southern Tier.
If you have one regularly used hair relaxers or straighteners and were diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, you may be entitled to significant financial compensation.
I've used hair relaxers for years. I had no idea they could cause cancer.
Chemical hair relaxers and straighteners have been linked to serious conditions, including several types of cancer. If you used hair relaxers and have been diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, call us now. There's no fee unless we win your case. Call
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security and Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. First of all, to the viewer that sent in a question for Phil, I'll save that for when he's in the studio, but I do appreciate it. Comment from a different viewer. Good morning to all. I like that. I wonder if Chuck Schumer consulted with Joe and Eileen Bally on Long Island before making his comments about President Trump at the UN. That's a great question. You always want to consult with Joe and Eileen Bally. If you're not familiar with that story, Chuck Schumer has fabricated this couple from Long Island that he's used in books, used in speeches to push his agenda. And I guess it was such a weird blip of a story, but I think they're Trump voters, but then sometimes they think, oh no, Trump's gone too far. It's this whole weird fabricated story. I wonder if Joe and Eileen Bally were at the opera with him. That's a good point. You made me laugh this morning. I appreciate it. Good morning, Frank. Well, hey, good morning. Comment from a different viewer. There's a check in the win column for the leftist media. Kimmel is back as the head of MEGA, making egos great again. Yeah, wasn't that all about him? What clips I saw, it was making him the victim. Of course, he cried at points. He was defiant. He was emotional. We're going to talk about that right now. But first, one more comment from a viewer. What was the squirrel's name that was murdered by Hochul? Was it Teacup? No, it was Peanut. Peanut the squirrel. I don't remember, but the scenario with the ostriches seems familiar. Great point. I didn't put those two and two together, but you raised a really good point. The government overreach, the heavy-handedness that led to the death of Peanut, and I don't remember the raccoon's name, but definitely Peanut. That death very similar to, except for in this case, you've got 400 ostriches being culled, being euthanized, being killed for... The only thing I can see is government overreach. I mean, there was an avian flu outbreak, but they got herd immunity. I'm glad it was brought to my attention. These are kind of things that fascinate me. So, all right. So Jimmy Kimmel failed yet again to apologize for his false and inflammatory comments about Charlie Kirk's assassination. Kimmel attempted to clarify his past assertion that Kirk's alleged killer, Tyler Robinson, was likely affiliated with the MAGA movement. And then he teared up while praising the slain conservative activist wife, Erica Kirk. Quote, "You understand that it was never my intention to make light of a murderer of a young man. I don't think there's anything funny about it." And of course, it was interrupted over and over by standing ovations. "I understand that the some that felt either ill-timed or unclear or maybe both. And for those who think I did point a finger, I get why you're upset." While Kimmel didn't directly apologize for the Kirk comments, he noted, "I don't think the murderer who shot Charlie Kirk represents anyone. This is a sick person who believes violence is a solution, and it isn't." So not only before did he try to blame it on MAGA, when that was a backlash against him, obviously, now he's trying to say it was nobody. And at the whole time, so it was MAGA, now it was nobody, no party affiliation. And at the same time, no apology. So isn't there something really interesting about that? No reference to what could be a far left agenda in it. There was no comment whatsoever about that. It was just, there was only two things it could be to Jimmy Kimmel. The first one was MAGA, and then when it wasn't that, it was now nobody, nothing. But I'll continue. Kimmel then referenced Kirk's memorial, during which his widow forgave Robinson. She forgave him. This is an example we should all follow. If you believe in the teachings of Jesus, as I do, there it was. That's it, a selfless act of grace. Forgiveness from a grieving widow. It touched me deeply. If there's anything we should take away from this tragedy to carry forward, I hope it can be that. Now, he also, and I'm not going to tell you all the guests he had. I don't think any of that matters. I will say, and I've heard other people on the right mention this during various commentary about Jimmy Kimmel. When you had Ted Cruz, you had Rand Paul and many others speaking out and saying they don't like what the FCC's Brandon Carr did on this, or they don't like Jimmy Kimmel being taken out. And he highlighted that on his broadcast yesterday, thanking them or saying he appreciated them. He would not have afforded a Republican that same luxury. He would not have said, before, even Charlie Kirk, let's say, before. He would not have afforded Charlie Kirk the same type of respect of, well, his voice should be heard. I mean, that's the problem with this. And I know, who was it that I said it, who's been saying it over and over again, that they defend, let me try that again, not necessarily defend Jimmy Kimmel, but they thought that Jimmy Kimmel, and it was a conservative, they thought that Jimmy Kimmel should be on the air, even after what he said, knowing full well that Jimmy Kimmel would not feel the same way about that conservative person. Trump took to Truth Social saying, "I can't believe ABC fake news gave Jimmy Kimmel his job back. The White House was told by ABC that his show was canceled. Something happened between then and now because his audience is gone and his talent was never there. Why would they want someone back who does so poorly, who's not funny, and who puts the network in jeopardy by playing 99% positive Democrat garbage?" Daniel McCarthy at the New York Post, and now we're going to start moving quickly because we got a lot to get to before Phil comes in. But Jimmy Kimmel's return to the nation's airwaves is proof of just how unserious the liberal media takes left-wing violence. If Johnny Carson had gone on the air after the murder of John F. Kennedy and said, "We hit some new lows this weekend with the Democrats' gang trying to characterize this kid who killed President Kennedy as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it," what would the network have done back then? Kimmel's a hater and a purveyor of disinformation, but he's able to get away with it by saying that about the MAGA gang because his bosses must approve of the lie. Indeed, liberals have spent the day since Charlie Kirk's murder insisting that the real danger to free speech comes not from left-wing killers' bullets, but from Republican officials. A few outlets, such as Vox and Politico, have been suggesting America is on the grip of a new Red Scare, as if Kirk's slaying and the countless assaults Antifa mobs have carried out on campuses and in American cities are things that need to be exaggerated. On the contrary, the violence speaks for itself, and its systematic character is easy to see. Most hard left activists may not be planning murders, though just how many are doing so is something law enforcement must investigate vigorously. For years, the FBI focused on right-wing extremism while violence from the other side escalated. Even when it stopped short of murder, however, the intimidation campaign waged by the left relies on violence and the threat of violence as three components. First, there are those in the liberal elite who downplay violence in the name of any cause they deem righteous, such as the rioting after George Floyd, being called a fiery but mostly peaceful response, while labeling Donald Trump, the MAGA movement, and conservatives as fascists, threats to democracy, and outright Nazis. Few of the columnists and pundits who employ this rhetoric dare to complete the thought, of course. If Trump really is Hitler, if Republican government means the end of democracy, then what follows? On Facebook pages for Occupy Democrats, with 10 million followers, and U.S. Democratic Socialists, 1.6 million followers, the message gets clear. Quote, "Dear America, whatever you wish the Germans had done in the 30s, it's time to do that now," end quote. It actually says that. Well, wouldn't that justify the assassination of Hitler or other important Nazis? The second level of intimidation apparatus consists of people who translate the violent rhetoric into violent action, demonstrating that it's okay to punch a Nazi when a Nazi is whoever an anti-Antifa activist or a sophisticated liberal pundit says is a Nazi. And we've talked about this ad nauseum on this program and back in the radio days. Once they started telling us that words are akin to violence, that's when things got really hairy. Because if I got violent with you through my words, even if it was accidental, if I said something that just bothered you or hurt your feelings, then you in their minds had a right to physically get violent with me. And we gave you examples after example of this. We're not going to go through it. Cowardly administrators on college campuses claim a conservative speaker might draw violent protests, so they insist on heightened security and insurance, which they want the speakers or the student groups that host them pay for. That was the intimidation that we talked about a long time ago. The way to censor is by saying, well, yeah, of course you can speak here, but it's going to cost you $20,000 for security because the heckler's veto, because the hecklers are going to get violent with you. If they can't pay this tax imposed by threats of left-wing violence, they can't speak. Thus, effective Antifa censorship gets disguised as mere administrative concern for security. The third component of their strategy to silence voices like Charlie Kirk's is the one that took his life. Just as the incendiary rhetoric of respectable liberals provide a framing and permission structure for literary incendiary acts of Antifa intimidation, the violent but usually less than lethal mayhem of the activist left sends a signal to bolder radicals. Again, this is Daniel McCarthy. Yes, free speech includes freedom for hateful speech, but free speech can't exist at all without freedom from intimidation by the likes of Antifa. Those who act on liberals' violent rhetoric, whether by harassing speakers or by killing them, must be rooted out and punished. As for Jimmy Kimmel and those who talk tough but don't dare lift a finger against fascism, they should be ashamed and tuned out for good. So that was kind of your update on that. Again, he choked up as he explained his Kirk comments and said he never intended to mock the assassination. So he's looking for, again, to be the victim in all of this. If you are just joining us, we are preempting your regularly scheduled encore episode of Celebrity Family Feud. We're bringing you this special report. I'll be happy to be here with you tonight, is how he kicked it off. He thanked Stephen Colbert, Jon Stewart, David Letterman, along with right-leaning critics like Clay Travis and Ted Cruz for showing support for him during his suspension. Again, whatever you want to say about whatever you thought of the Kimmel suspension, which I'd love to hear your thoughts, at the end of the day, Ted Cruz would not have been afforded that same luxury of Jimmy Kimmel defending him. I appreciate those on the right who backed my rights. So anyway, I don't think we need to go into any more of that. We can if you want. Yeah, we got to start rushing through some things. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
Your tap water is delicious.
I know, right? It's this Culligan Smart drinking water system.
What do you think is going on in there?
I'm smelling a touch of chlorine.
Yeah, I'm detecting some PFAS.
I'm also getting notes of lead.
Perfection.
Sending it up.
Here we go.
Certified to reduce more than 70 contaminants. It's like having your own team of water experts. See the smart difference at Culligan.com.
Can you help me?
Mom, Dad, we're going out.
Thank you.
Oh, look, they're playing chess.
What you got there?
Will you help my mom?
She's real sick, huh? Hey, crew, I'll give the first move to anyone who signs up to be an organ donor. How do you do it?
Easy. Just go to organdonor.gov.
You heard them, organdonor.gov.
More donors means more hope. Sign up at organdonor.gov.
Thank you to Boss Security for that beautiful view of historic Market Street in the heart of the Gaffer District. Contact them today at Boss Security for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. Comment from a viewer. ABC fired the loser, not Trump. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And the collection of misfits at Disney rehired him. Thank you. All right, so Trump drew laughs yesterday. This is the exact quote that we referenced earlier in the broadcast. He was at the UN General Assembly. Trump said, "Thank you very much," as they applauded. And he said, "I don't mind making this speech without a teleprompter because the teleprompter is not working. I feel very happy to be up here with you nevertheless. And the way you speak more from the heart, I can only say that whoever's operating this teleprompter is in big trouble." Well, you got to wonder if it wasn't a part of this sabotage, because listen, there has to be an answer to why the escalator stopped as Trump and Melania were going up it. It almost caused Melania to tumble. Carolyn Levitt called for the firing and investigation of those responsible for a stalled escalator that carried President Trump and First Lady Melania Trump at the United Nations General Assembly. Quote, "If someone at the UN intentionally stopped the escalator as the President and First Lady were stepping on, they need to be fired and investigated immediately." The Times reported that UN staffers joked that they may switch off the escalator. So Times is reporting that. When asked on Jesse Waters' Prime Time whether the malfunction might be an act of sabotage, Levitt was blunt. She said, "That's definitely what it appears to be to me. There was some concerning reports over the weekend from the London Times that UN globalist staffers were basically plotting to set up the President of the United States. If we find that there were UN staffers who were purposefully trying to literally trip up the President and the First Lady of the United States, well, there better be accountability for those people." A United Nations spokesperson later told Fox that someone from the U.S. delegation or security detail ran up the escalator and then back down again before the Trumps were off the escalator. The act of running down the up-moving escalator triggered an alarm, halting it. Come on. Really? You're not allowed to go down an escalator? That makes no sense. After passing through the security gates, President Trump and the First Lady approached the escalator. In an effort to document their arrival, a videographer from the U.S. delegation stepped onto the escalator ahead of the President and First Lady. As the videographer was traveling backwards up the escalator and it reached the top, the First Lady, followed by President Trump, each mounted the steps at the bottom. At that moment, the escalator came to a stop. Come on. So staffers were joking about it. Now it just happens to be, I guess, a coincidence. Do I have to take another break already? I do. Oh, my goodness. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV. Big Fox, get your last-minute comments in for hour number one.
You don't have time to go to the gym? The health club is not an option? Come to Hesselson today and see why swim spas and fitness systems can fit into anyone's yard and budget. 12-foot, 14-foot, 15-foot, 18-foot dual temperature hot tub and swim spas are all on display in Hesselson's indoor and outdoor showroom. Try before you buy. 0% interest-free financing options are available on every Hesselson swim spot. Swim and exercise year-round and start making every day better. After 70 years, it's still fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
Want to read about ancient wonders? Go to your local library today.
But this isn't your father's library. It's the home of creativity. Release your inner audio engineer or face off a dragon in the D&D club. Make your clothing ideas come together with our sewing machine riddles. Create with the 3D printer or come to the library event nights to chat with those within your community. All with your library card. Go to getyourlibrarycard.com today.
This is a Sue the Collector Consumer Alert. Hi, my name is Jared Johnson with SueTheCollector.com. Did you know that repossessions are on the rise in America? If your car, truck, or motorcycle has been repossessed by an agent that broke a lock, assaulted you, or trespassed on your private property, you have rights. Call us for a free case review at 1-877-BAD-REPO. You pay nothing unless we win money for you. Call me now.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Marcus Street in Corning. Kind of just to recap quickly, the UN speech by President Trump. Michael Goodwin said, watching President Trump slice and dice the UN, I couldn't help but think that the gods have a sense of humor and excellent timing. The fact that neither the building's escalator nor its teleprompter was working gave Trump fresh ammunition for his broad onslaught, which was well designed and extremely effective. He saw the malfunctions as a metaphor for a blob of bureaucrats failing at their core reasons for being. He didn't skimp on offering abundant evidence that the world body is a bust at making peace and keeping it. Indeed, he argued that beyond being useless, its weakness is actually making some big problems worse, saying, what is the purpose of the United Nations? For the most part, at least for now, all they seem to do is write a really strongly worded letter and then never follow that letter up. It's empty words, and empty words don't solve wars. That and many other passages were examples of American straight talk at its best and most blunt. His punches were all the more powerful for being delivered in a forum where obfuscation is prized and deception is often disguised as diplomacy. At 57 minutes, the president's address could have used a trim here and there to tighten the focus. Still, his meaning was clear, and his main points were one his international audience needed to hear, especially because they didn't want to hear it. Given Trump's cut to foreign spending, it's no surprise to the global grifters that Uncle Sam will no longer be Uncle Sap when it comes to funding their ways. Moreover, the president removed any doubt that his America First agenda would ever yield its sovereignty and principles to a failed globalist regime. This was a contrast at the heart of Trump's address, which made it especially compelling as he cited both American successes in key ways and sputtering failures of European allies, among others. In fact, any citizen of Europe who watched or read Trump's speech with an open mind must be wondering why their leaders are sticking with policies that are clear failures. We can go on this, and I'd love to hear from you on your take on the speech. Yeah, he talked about migration. He talked about them funding immigration to our country, and then us having to, which we were helping to pay for, and then we have to pay to get the illegal migrants out. The list goes on and on. He talked about global warming. I'm sure we maybe we'll get an update on that on Friday. The numbers that Trump cited prove the point that Muhammad Ali once made, according to Michael Goodwin. It ain't bragging if you can back it up. All right, and of course, a very different position, not very different, but a strong, supportive position on Ukraine. We're going to try to breeze through a lot of things in the next segment before Assemblyman Phil Palmisano joins us, so stay with us. Hour number 1 in the books, hour number 2 mere moments away.
Tire World of Corning is your back-to-school tune-up authority. Family service you can trust. Save big on all brand name tires, suspensions, oil changes, inspections, tune-ups, and exhaust. We give you peace of mind this school season. Your car, your kid's car, your off-to-college car. We have all kinds of tires for all kinds of vehicles. We love tires. We love maintaining your vehicles.
I would highly recommend them.
We came in,
5 minutes, we're in and out.
Get the job done right the first time.
Tire World of Corning, family service you can trust.
Judging a book by its cover? Everyone with an addiction has a story to tell. Don't know, don't judge. Addiction is a medical condition, not a choice. Stop stigma and support treatment. Learn more at oasis.ny.gov.
10 p.m. somewhere. Do you know what your kids are doing online? Brought to you by Ferrario Jeep.
You lather, rinse, moisturize, repeat, and repeat. But it never feels like enough. It's not your products. It's your water. Hard water leaves a mineral residue that clogs pores and dries out hair. Culligan water softeners remove damaging minerals, revitalizing brittle hair and dry skin. Upgrade your shower and skincare routine with Culligan, water you love.
Welcome to hour number 2 of Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom. We are broadcasting live and proudly from the Hesselson studio this morning. We have quite a few comments coming in. Let's get to them. I could hardly believe that, as President Trump said, that some of the panel farms measured 7 by 7 miles. What a waste of farmland. Yes, very good point. Thank you very much. Comment from a different viewer. Kimmel's stunt may produce higher ratings, but it will be temporary at best. The man has a staff of 200 people and still isn't funny. Isn't that wild when you hear that he has a staff of 200 people for that product? Trump also, by the way, blasted the United Nations for funding an assault on Western countries and borders with mass migration. This is a little bit what I was telling you at the end of the last hour. The number one political issue of our time is the crisis of uncontrolled migration. The United Nations is funding an assault on Western countries and their borders. Can you know, I don't want to go through all this because we just don't have time for it. But, you know, we kind of joke, and I joked at the beginning of the program about a lot of foreign leaders nervous when Trump's teleprompter broke. Because off teleprompter, it's a whole different Trump, right? I don't think I'm saying anything out of school there. I think that's pretty obvious. But I also got to thinking, could you imagine any other president not having their teleprompter work or cut out? Yeah, Reagan would have done good. But imagine Biden. It would have been the end of the speech. I don't even know how it would have went on. It would have been kind of a public relations disaster for our country. And I'm just saying that because it was so interesting to see when the teleprompter breaks that he's in better form than when the teleprompter is working. The Post says, bravo to President Trump for seeing the truth. Ukraine can win. Trump doing a 180, ruthlessly mocking paper tiger Russia in a post that has shocked a lot of people. We mentioned that earlier in the broadcast, but I thought it was worth mentioning again, saying, after getting to know and fully understand the Ukraine-Russia military and economic situation, and after seeing the economic trouble it is causing Russia, I think Ukraine, with the support of the European Union, is in a position to fight and win all of Ukraine back in its original form with time, patience, and the financial support of Europe, and in particular NATO. The original borders from where the war started is very much an option. Why not? Russia's been fighting aimlessly for 3.5 years, a war that should have taken a real military power less than a week to win. This is not distinguishing Russia. In fact, it's very much making them look like a paper tiger. When the people living in Moscow and all the great cities, towns, and districts all throughout Russia find out what is really going on with this war, the fact that it's almost impossible for them to get gasoline through the long lines that are being formed and all the other things that are taking place in their war economy, where most of their money is being spent on fighting Ukraine, which has great spirit and only getting better, Ukraine would be able to take back their country in its original form, and who knows, maybe even go further than that. Putin and Russia are in big economic trouble, and this is a time for Ukraine to act. In any event, I wish both countries well. We'll continue to supply new weapons to NATO for NATO to do what they want with them. Good luck to all. All right. Quickly, as we move fast, inquiries to start new Turning Point USA chapters at high schools and universities throughout the United States have skyrocketed since Charlie Kirk's memorial. Andrew Colvett, a spokesman for TPUSA, revealed in a post that the organization has had around 60 100,000 inquiries. The organization has now received over 120,000 inquiries. Well, that's a weird way of wording that. So 120,000 inquiries. New York House Democrats defended their decision to duck the vote honoring Charlie Kirk, Richie Torres, Dan Goldman, Grace Meng, George Latimer, and Tim Kennedy were all recorded as having voted no on the resolution, a move seen as quite quietly avoiding taking a position and seeking cover from controversy. We got some good waves this morning. We're getting some good comments, and we've got the Assemblyman in the studio, Assemblyman Phil Palmisano. It's Wednesdays with Phil, which doesn't have quite the same ring to it. But we've got some great questions coming in already. Make sure you get the questions for Phil throughout the next almost hour broadcast. Stay with us. This is Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
Hi, this is Tom Witzel, owner of Hesselson's in Amara Heights. At Hesselson's, we care about your well-being and overall health, whether it's relieving stress, muscle recovery, increasing circulation, or just revitalizing the body. Hesselson's now has 2 complete line of infrared and traditional rock saunas in our new and expanded showroom. Come in today and see why owning a sauna is the start of your new healthy lifestyle. Hesselson's is still locally and family owned and operated in Amara Heights. After 70 years, it's still fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
Want to read about ancient wonders? Go to your local library today.
But this isn't your father's library. It's the home of creativity. Release your inner audio engineer or face off a dragon in the D&D Club. Make your clothing ideas come together with our sewing machine rentals. Create with the 3D printer or come to the library event nights to chat with those within your community. All with your library card. Go to getyourlibrarycard.com today.
This is a Sue the Collector Consumer Alert. Hi, my name is Jared Johnson with SueTheCollector.com. Did you know that repossessions are on the rise in America? If your car, truck, or motorcycle has been repossessed by an agent that broke a lock, assaulted you, or trespassed on your private property, you have rights. Call us for a free case review at 1-877-BAD-REPO. You pay nothing unless we win money for you. Call me now.
In 1954, a loaf of bread was 15 cents, a gallon of gas was 22 cents, and Cutler's Carpet and Flooring opened as a little store with a big red door. For 72 years, we've been your go-to floor covering store. With that kind of longevity, you know we have great service, best selection, best prices, and best installation. Celebrate our 72nd birthday where you get the presents. We've lowered prices on carpet, LVT, hardwood, ceramic tile, and do the home improvements you've been considering. Get your home ready for the holidays with Cutler's 72nd birthday sale. Cutler's, we have a buddy.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security and Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson's studio here on Market Street in Corning. In that studio, Assemblyman Phil Palmisano. Phil, before we go on here with you, I've got some comments that I have to read. You know how this works. So here we go. Question for, we'll wait for that one. That's for you. That one actually is for you. Good morning, Frank and company. Well, good morning. On the BC ostriches, we actually talked about this in the 6 o'clock hour. We were getting a lot of response. Katie and Karen were arrested and now are at home. The police and CFIA had said that they would feed the ostriches, get them to a remote area, then arrest them. The CFIA has set up a staging area for the massacre on a provincial Sandow. That's where they took the ladies to where they arrested them. A truck from Illinois brought in the hay bales to corral the birds and hide the call from the people. Great analogy. The ostriches represent the Canadians who've had their heads in the sand. Well, thank you so much for that. Thank you for bringing that story to our attention. We followed it. We have been following it, and we brought it up on the very top of the 6 o'clock hour this morning. Coming from a different viewer, Trump's speech at the UN was okay. He covered a lot of ground to a packed room, that's for sure. And finally, Ken writes in, there isn't a coincidental world that would have included a suggestion from the UN staff saying that they would shut down the escalators when Trump approached to make him walk the stairs, and then the exact thing happened just as he and Melania stepped on. Obviously, someone was ready at the switch to shut down the power when told to. This wasn't just a staff member, it was a coordinated effort, just like the teleprompter was. The UN has long disliked America, and now they especially dislike Trump's America. Thank you, Ken. Now it's to New York State issues. Phil, how's everything going?
Good, Frank. How are you?
How's the world tour going?
The tour's been interesting, to say the least.
I hear it's very reminiscent of Guns N' Roses back in the day. Is that right?
Not as big of a crowd.
Okay. Well, I got you down a little bit on the camera. Let me move that camera a little bit, Phil. Sorry. But I've heard great things. Joe Semplinsky was in on the program. You and I have talked, and I've been receiving the press releases. It's been a success, wouldn't you say?
I think so.
Yeah.
What we're trying to do, the whole goal of this tour, I went to our leaders saying, I think we need to try to get more attention on the issue. And we've been doing a lot, but just it really kind of in coordination with the draft energy plan and hearings that have been taking place for the viewers, the NYSERDA and the state put out a draft energy plan, which is supposed to be their plan for the next 15 years. And I'll tell you, the plan actually says some of the right things. It talks about an all of the above approach. It talks about the need for natural gas. It talks about looking at nuclear. It talks about fuel diversity. It talks about the important buzzwords of affordability and reliability. My problem is, and other problems is, the actions and the policies coming out of Albany aren't matching the words.
Right.
So I decided, I thought it was important to do this tour, and what we've been doing is holding a press conference before each public hearing. So we started in Buffalo and Rochester week 1. The following week we were in Albany. And last week I was at the Hudson Valley down in Poughkeepsie, and then down in New York City and Brooklyn. Next week is in Long Island. And listen, I appreciate the public hearings and the public comment period, but what we've been doing and been advocating for on top of it is the need for 4 additional hearings, because you heard the municipalities I mentioned. There's no Southern Tier hearing.
Right.
There's no North Country
Right.
hearing. There's no Central New York hearing or Mohawk Valley hearing. And just think about it from this perspective. The North Country with Fort Drum and Alcoa, Southern Tier with Corning and Lockheed Martin, just to name a couple. Central New York, you got Micron, the big Micron project,
Right.
which is going to be a huge energy demand user. Plus, it's the central hub of our nuclear fleet. And then the Mohawk Valley with the big Chobani expansion taking place there. We believe those communities, the families, the small businesses, deserve the opportunity to come voice their concerns and input on the energy plan and how the energy policies being advanced are affecting them. It's the right thing to do. We've been calling for that. I mention it at every public hearing because I also go to the public hearings.
Right.
You get 2 minutes. I rehash that point, and each hearing I kind of bring up a different point. I talk about the hearings and the need to extend the public comment period additional 90 days, because right now it ends October 6th. That's not nearly enough time given the far-reaching impact of this plan and the policies being advanced. So I talked about that. I talked about at one period, I talked about affordability, talked about reliability. I've talked about
I'm trying to think because
land use.
So many press releases.
Yeah, I've talked about land use. I've talked about fuel diversity and the overall impact of what's going on with the policies. So just a little bit at each one, and then I kind of rehash it at each one. But really at the press conference is what I'm seeing is the policies, like I said, aren't matching the words. And in my opinion, listen, you don't need these hearings or press conferences to realize is residents are hurt. You see the constant utility rate increases being proposed by the utilities, whether it's National Grid, NYSEG, whoever it is. And Governor Hochul is real quick to point the finger at NYSEG. And listen, I'm not supporting these rate increases, but what she's failing to acknowledge, what she's failing to take responsibility for, it's her policies that are driving up these rate increases across the board.
She found the scapegoat, right? I mean, because you blame big business. Who's sending you the bill in the mail?
Yes.
It's NYSEG. It's not Governor Hochul. But in the fact of the matter is, it is kind of Governor Hochul in the long run.
Yeah, it is. Well, and they're the part of the bill, and for the viewer, I mean, there's three. Most people don't look at their entire bill; they look at the total bill and how it's going up. And I get that. There's 3 parts to your bill. There's the supply side. That's like a pass through. The utility goes out and buys the energy at the market, and they just pass through. They make no profit on it. The other part that they go for the rate increase that you're hearing about is on the delivery portion. That's for the wires, that's for the poles, that's for the substations, infrastructure improvements that they need to upgrade to meet these mandates. And the other part is your taxes, fees, and assessments. The approximate breakdown is about 30 to 35% delivery, 45% supply, and 20 to 25%, they fluctuate by taxes, fees, and assessment. Now, the taxes, fees, and assessments, that also has these green energy charges that you're paying because it's the system's benefit charge. These go to pay for a lot of these green energy programs, so that's a part of your bill. And also on the supply side that a lot of people don't realize, and they say it's it's a pass-through, but because they're forced to go out and buy renewable energy credits, because they're forced to go out and buy these zero emission credits for these green energy programs. That's being subsidized in the supply side. So they're getting hit from all three sides as part of the utility bill, and I understand it. But again, Governor Hochul doesn't want to take responsibility for that.
Of course not.
And then
she's up for re-election
and
next
then
year.
their plans that they're advancing are counter to what the energy plan is talking about. It's the fact of the matter. At the end of the day, affordable, because of these green mandates, affordable, reliable, feasible, fuel diversity, energy choice are not part of the discussion or the priority for this administration or the Democrats in Albany. And people want natural gas, and there's a poll.
Overwhelmingly.
Our Congressman Nick Langworth's got a bill, Energy Choice Act, which I've joined him for 2 press conferences in the Elmira area over the past 6 months because it's an important issue.
Right.
And for the viewers, there's a poll out there that really drives this message home. 71% of New Yorkers do not want a ban on natural gas. That's what this poll this summer said, including 74% or 76% of independents. That same poll said that 2/3 of New Yorkers want a balance between renewable resources and natural gas, including 74% of Democrats. So the message is clear. New Yorkers want energy choice.
Right.
Unfortunately, I'm convinced the Democrats, their policy is really this march to full electrification. By 2040, we're supposed to be net zero generation. So they want to totally electrify the grid without bringing in reliable resources to fill the gap in any time soon. And my opinion, really, their plan is designed to totally dismantle the affordable and reliable natural gas infrastructure, supply and delivery system, despite the fact that 60% of New Yorkers heat their homes with natural gas, despite the fact that 40% of our electricity generation comes from natural gas. Their plan is really, intention is to totally take away consumer choice on how you heat your home, how you cook your food, how you power your building, and the vehicle you drive. They want people to have electric heat pumps and electric vehicles. If you want an electric heat pump and an electric vehicle, God bless you. But don't make everyone else do it, especially to jeopardize. So these policies, what they will do is they will jeopardize the reliability of the grid, leading to dangerous and deadly blackouts. Remember the storm up in Buffalo a couple years ago, the whole grid was full.
We've talked about it so often on the program, Phil, you and I, but we get some bad winters.
Yes, we do.
And we get some bad weather, and heaven forbid if we have the grid go down, so you're freezing to death in your home, and you can't cook.
Right.
What are we going to do? I mean, it is going to lead to the loss of life.
Yep, and it would have been much more deadly in Buffalo if it would have been fully electrified up there. And so this will continue our nation-leading out-migration of more families, farmers, small businesses, and manufacturers leaving the state. Because if you think about the business community, they care about 2 things when it comes to energy policy: affordable and reliable. If they can't get affordable and reliable energy in New York, they will leave and go elsewhere to get it, and just like they already are. And when you talk about the winter season, the NISO, which is tasked with keeping the power and the lights on, they study the grid to make sure that it's a reliable resources in place. And they're already talking about reliability gaps, which I'll talk about in a minute. They're saying the peak energy demand is going to switch from the summer season to the winter season in the next 10 to 15 years too. Yeah. So that's very problematic with electric heat pumps, with electric refining grid. And I guess the other thing with the Democrats' policy, I think really what their policy amounts to is they say asking New Yorkers for a blank check with no questions asked, because there's never a cost benefit analysis. Really what they did with this policy, they gave the activists everything they wanted instead of giving New York common sense energy policy that they needed, like affordable and reliable and feasible energy.
And they didn't even look at, it was all about the virtue signaling.
It was all about virtue signaling.
Agree with that side. And I think why you see Hochul kind of embracing a little bit nuclear and these different ideas is, again, it's politics at the end of the day. She's worried about next year.
Yes.
So I don't take some of these conversations we're having necessarily seriously when Hochul is saying those type of things. I hope I'm wrong, but it all at the end of the day seems to me like, look, I'm doing something like bail reform, right? I'm changing, I'm tweaking, nothing's done. The same with this.
She uses the word affordable in every press statement. Her energy press person says, well, if she's pushing for affordability, nonsense, not the policies that she's advancing. You can go down the pipeline of all her policies from the, you have the All Electric Buildings Act that takes place in January of this coming year. Any new building construction for homeowners has to be electric. There's been a constant assault on natural gas And natural gas is supposed to be referred to as a bridge fuel, right?
Yeah, right.
Well, you don't tear down a bridge before you build a new one.
Exactly.
And that's exactly what they want to do and are doing with our energy grid, this march to full electrification. And when you talk about the reliability side of it, the NISO, I know I'm bouncing around here, but it's important. The NISO said what we need by 2040 to meet this net zero generation, we need 27 to 45 gigawatts of dispatchable emission-free resources. Now, for the viewer, a gigawatt is the equivalent of powering 750,000 homes. In New York, our total generating capacity in New York right now is 41 gigawatts. That's wind, solar, hydro, nuclear, and natural gas and oil. Those make up 41 gigawatts.
Right.
They're saying we need 27 to 45 gigawatts of dispatchable emission-free resources. They do not know what the technology is yet. Now, the wind and solar advocates, it doesn't count in that 27 to 45 because it's not dispatchable, it's not reliable.
Right.
So we don't know. Is it going to be advanced nuclear? And I fully support nuclear being a part of the equation. It needs to be. It
has to be.
I mean, the biggest mistake we made in New York is when, for virtual signaling for political purposes, they shut down Indian Point down in downstate, which provided 25% of the power to New York City. And once they did that, their fossil fuel generation went from under 70% to over 90%. And even though upstate, our fuel generation is over 90% emission free. So I think that those types of policies are happening, and I think you look at it time and time again, and that's where my concerns come into play with the policies that are being implemented. It's really been like a knee-jerk reaction to this full electrification of the grid.
Right.
And it was never going to work, not financially, not realistically. And when you to shut down reliable sources of power, because you is really is a recipe for disaster. And you see it happening right now with the policies, and really there is a hostility towards natural gas. It started with the ban on fracking, then you see it with pipeline denials, and now there's a big pipeline discussion going on down in New York City, Long Island, for the Nestle pipeline. That the PSC just approved their long-term plan. There's talk, was this a deal between Governor Hochul and the president? Well, we need this pipeline if you want reliable natural gas coming into the city. You might remember back in 2019 or 2018 when Governor Cuomo was there, the state denied the water permit for the Nestle pipeline, the same one that's being re-reviewed now.
Right.
So National Grid said we don't have the supply to provide the gas for new customers. Cuomo threatened their license, because he was a bully.
Right.
So what was their answer to that?
Yeah.
Trucking 240 diesel trucks of gas, CNG trucks into the city every single day, and injecting them into the system there. That's not safe. That's not a long-term viable solution. So we need to do that. And you can look at the plan over and over again. So you got fracking, you got pipeline denials, you got air permit denials for new natural gas power plants, and for existing renewable natural gas power plants. So you have Greenwich up in Yates County,
right,
which provides important power. That was denied a renewal for different reasons, political reasons. So you have the CLCPA, the Green New Deal that we passed in 2019, which set the stage for all of this. You have the Electric Buildings Act, like I said, that takes effect this year. Again, you can't build new construction with it. You have the Cap and Invest, which was also passed as part of the budget. And on the Cap and Invest, and I'll talk about costs in a minute, that was passed as part of the budget. You have all electric vehicles. You have the ACT regulation, which they call the Advanced Clean Truck Rule, which will devastate the trucking industry in New York State, because how that works for the viewer is that for every 6 ICE vehicles, like internal combustion engine vehicles for the trucks, you'd have to purchase 1 electric truck.
Okay.
And they don't work. There's no market for them.
No.
And here's the other thing, even during the budget hearings, the Thruway Commissioner, there's not one heavy-duty charging station on the Thruway.
No.
The whole Thruway. And in his testimony this year, he said, "Well, we're working with the NISO, we're working with the utilities. Shouldn't have you done that before you spent $500 million upgrading all the rest stops? I mean, where's that consideration?" And that the fact of the matter is, 300,000 New Yorkers work in the trucking industry in New York.
Yeah.
96% of our goods are shipped via truck. And just from a logistical perspective, a tractor trailer can go 18 100 to 2,000 miles on a full tank of diesel.
Right.
They can go about 400 miles on an electric vehicle. And then when they do the diesel, it takes them 20 minutes to refill. Right. It takes them 4 hours to charge up on the other side. Where's the economics of this discussion other than just being clean?
And 400 miles is nothing if you're a truck driver.
No, and that will decimate the economics of the business.
Right.
But it's going to drive up prices. And you're not going to, because they say what we need to do for emissions because of diesel emissions. You're not going to change diesel emissions in New York. What you will do with this policy is you would drive out the truck industry in New York, but you're not in New Jersey, not in Ohio, not in Pennsylvania. Those trucking companies will be the ones shipping the lumber, the food down to the city
This
to
is what
get to
always
the residents.
happens.
It's going to increase prices. I mean, the Governor Hochul says we have a housing affordability crisis. This is going to increase the prices of lumber and housing costs that have to be shipped across the state. And you're still going to have those tractor trailers coming through your communities because it's needed, and because I believe there's also interstate commerce cause problems with that. But it's one thing after the other, and you can just
It's just like the EV buses with schools. I mean, we've talked about it so much ad nauseum, but really, we're not there yet. We're not ready. Can't we just all take a breather? I know you've said it in the past, and as you said at the beginning, the polls show that the New Yorkers are reasonable. They just wanted all of the above approach, and right now, again, I think just in the name of virtue signaling, we're pushing these just horrible agenda that's going to cost us a fortune and cost us business and lose us more residents.
Yeah, and when you mentioned the EV school bus, I mean, that's, in my opinion, I would refer to that as the mother of all unfunded mandates. Beginning in 2027, every school district has to begin purchasing, every new replacement has to be an electric school bus. Now they put in place you can apply for a 2-year waiver from the state education department on a case-by-case basis. Now in the budget this year, there is another opportunity to extend it another 2 years for NYSERDA, but why are we making them jump through the hoops? Why not just give the outright extension? But the cost for these things alone are significant. The cost of a electric school bus is about $400,000 to $450,000 versus a near zero emission diesel school bus, $125,000 to $150,000. The Empire Center did a study, said just in replacement costs alone, it would cost $8 to $15 billion. That doesn't include the billions of dollars in charging infrastructure improvements that have to be made at the school districts. And it also doesn't include some of the electrical improvements that are going to have to be made by the school districts on their own property to bring the power from the grid. When we had a press conference with school superintendents, Shenandoah School District said it was going to cost them $30 million just to improve the power to bring it in the grid. Totally borne by the property taxpayers, not spread out over all ratepayers.
Won't that have to be voted on in the school budgets? Because no one in their right mind is going to vote on that.
Yeah, I mean, you see the electric school bus budgets being vetoed and turned over one after the other, and they're going to continue to do so. My fear is ultimately the state of New York is going to take the right to vote on school buses away. I think that's what's going to happen. And
there's no other option.
There's no other option because they're not going to pass otherwise, and there's very, very problematic. But you can go through the costs. I mean, you have another proposal like the HEAT Act that would basically empower the PSC to go into a neighborhood and totally decommission natural gas to that neighborhood.
Right.
Then what's the option other than to fully electrify your home? They have this 100-foot rule that passed both houses. Now, they refer to that as a subsidy. It's going to save $100 to $200 million. How that works is, say there's a new building construction or someone wants to convert to natural gas. That first 100-foot connection is subsidized by everybody. It is. It's a subsidy. But at the end of the day, it's paid back and it saves cost because now when you have more users on the system, you're sharing in the cost for the capital and operating expenses of running that system. So it's actually a benefit to the existing customers, not a detriment. And I love how they say, well, $100 to $200 million we're going to save, but they don't blink an eye at the total cost of this estimate plan. The comptroller, or even their own Climate Action Council plan, said just in costs we're looking at over $250 billion. $250 billion. And Governor Hochul is quick to blame the utilities when there's a utility rate increase to the PSC. Where was Governor Hochul in July of 2023 when the PSC approved a $43 billion rate increase for future green energy mandates that they specifically said had to be done for this purpose? Where was Governor Hochul when her former DEC commissioner, co-chair of the Climate Action Council, when the Cap and Invest plan said implementing the Cap and Invest, which is going to be fees assigned to fossil fuel users, generators, and things and the like, it will increase prices at the pump for New Yorkers by 62 cents a gallon and will increase natural gas home heating costs by 80%. That's on top of what's going on now before it's even implemented. That's we have to implement it. That's what it's going to cost. And where's Governor Hochul to convert your home over from natural gas to full electrification? is estimates from 3 different studies saying $35,000 to $50,000 plus. Tell me what senior citizen listening at home, watching at home, what disabled veteran on a fixed income can afford that and would even want that. It doesn't make any sense to me.
No, even working family. I mean, anybody doesn't have
anybody.
That.
And to tell you where we were, I mean, we see the electricity prices. The residential cost of electricity rate in 2019 before you passed the CLCP was 17 cents per kilowatt hour. Today it's 25 cents per kilowatt hour. That's 40% higher than the national average. This is unsustainable. So they can talk all they want about affordability. Unfortunately, the policies they continue to advance, the policies they continue to implement, the policies they continue to pass, the virtual signal to a radical environmental agenda that will do nothing. Let me tell you, we can do all this, and it's not going to make an impact on global emissions. Why? Because New York State only contributes 0.4% of total global emissions. 0.4. China contributes 30%, has 1,000 coal plants, and building more
daily,
each and every week.
Yeah.
And if you want to throw India and Russia on there, it's 40%.
Wow.
And just to give you the perspective on China, last year, China expanded their coal generating capacity. And you remember I said 1 gigawatt is 750,000. Our total generating capacity in New York is 41 gigawatts. China expanded just their coal capacity last year by 95 gigawatts, doubling our total generating capacity of everything.
Yeah.
So they're not on our side. And even I remember Joe Biden once said, and I disagree with him, probably almost everything except this thing. He said, if China's not with us, we're wasting our time.
Right.
I agree with Joe.
We're wasting our
China's
time.
not with us. We are wasting our time.
Exactly.
So we can try to get down to zero. We can get to zero, but we're not going to impact global emissions. But what will we do? We will dismantle our entire economy. We will hurt businesses. We will hurt families and manufacturers, and we will continue the out-migration, nation-leading out-migration of all the families, farmers, small businesses, and manufacturers leaving our state. And that's what I'm very concerned about. So I can go down the whole list of it.
I know. And we got a lot of questions, but we got to take a break. We're running a little bit late. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking.
William Mattar has a reputation for being a good guy.
Because I am a good guy.
For being focused on motor vehicle accident cases.
Because I focus on motor vehicle accidents.
For fighting for his clients.
Because I fight for my clients.
If you've been injured in a motor vehicle accident, it matters who you hire. It matters in the experience as well as the results. Call William Mattar. Visit WilliamMattar.com.
This isn't your library. Create with the 3D printer. Release your inner audio engineer or sewing machine riddles, all with your library card. Go to getyourlibrarycard.com today.
Trick or treat.
Fall is in the air, and there's no better place to celebrate than Bradley Farms. Bring the whole family for games. Get lost in our giant cornfield maze. Hop on a scenic hayride. Photo ops and fall memories you'll never forget. Located at 1543 Maple Avenue in Elmira, New York. And pick the perfect pumpkin from our patch. We're open Sunday through Thursday, 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. Friday and Saturday, 9 a.m. until 10 p.m. Come on out to Bradley Farms, where fall fun takes root.
Tired of high-priced delivery? The Liquor Factory is now offering free delivery. You heard right, free delivery to Oreen, Gang Mills, Painted Post, and Riverside. Corning, you're in luck too. Free delivery with a $25 minimum order. Call store for details. Also, don't forget their 15% case wine discount. Follow them on Facebook and Instagram for weekly specials and tastings. The Liquor Factory, 285 South Hamilton Street, Gang Mills. Or call 607-937-WINE. That's 607-937-9463. The Liquor Factory, raising spirits, delivering fun in a bottle.
As a community, a neighborhood, school, place of worship, or other chosen groups, communities can provide support when you need it, including helping your kids avoid underage drinking and other substance use. Learn more at talktheyhearyou.samhsa.gov.
Welcome back to Frankly Speaking. That's our beautiful roof cam brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. In that studio, Assemblyman Phil Palmisano. We got a lot of questions for you, Phil. Sure. First, this is a comment about the ostrich story. They were charged, the two that were arrested, with breaking the Animal Health Act and obstructing police. Thank you very much. All right. Question for Phil. This came in the 6 o'clock hour. They should be first in line. If Elise Stefanik runs and wins the governor's race, can she undo all the harm the Democrats have done? For example, can the anti-natural gas plan be repealed and instantly stopped dead, etc.? I don't think everything can, right?
It might be hard to do some of it, but the thing is, she will appoint the DEC commissioner, and the DEC has a lot of jurisdiction on a lot of the policies that are being implemented, especially cap and invest. But she's going to have to do some things through the legislature, which I think she needs to do, is included part of her budget. That's where she has the most degree. She would have the most degree of leverage as part of her budget. Right. And other governors have done it. She should definitely do it. I would highly encourage you to do it. Two of the areas obviously are cap and invest, which I just told you. If that goes through unchecked and advances, it's going to increase prices at the pump for New Yorkers by 62 cents a gallon and increase natural gas home heating costs by 80%. Right now, the PSC, she can press on the PSC under the CLCPA. There's an ability to have an off-ramp to slow down implementation of it if there's a threat to safety and reliability. Well, I believe 100% right now there's a threat to safety and reliability. Why? Because the NYSO, again, which is tasked with charging, making sure the lights stay on, the power stays on, has signaled short-term and long-term reliability gaps in the system. I told you the long-term reliability gaps with 27 to 45 gigawatts needing dispatchable industry resources. That's not in place. We shouldn't be advancing at breakneck speed down these tracks with the public not knowing until the new technology is in place and working. So again, like I said, natural gas is a bridge. Don't tear down the bridge before you build one. So those are some things she could do. There are some things in the law, like the electric vehicle building purchases come 2035. But she might be able to especially help on the regulations, and that's where our big concerns are. They're trying to advance some of this stuff via regulation quicker than the law. Like the ACT regulation and Advanced Clean Car Rule, which would mandate a certain percentage of vehicles be electric in 2025 too. So that's why she would be very helpful in those areas, but we'd have to work, and she'd have to use the power of the budget to advance policy. That would be my advice to her.
Okay, because we got to take another break already, because we ran late in the other one. But I think these are just basically comments, so I want to read those, and then we'll get to some more questions. Sure. Ken writes, in the political world would look a lot different if politicians and their families were not allowed to hold investments in anything that they write laws or policies for. I would bet that the Democrats and their benefactors in New York are heavily invested in renewable energy. The only good part of that equation is that they are now somewhat embracing nuclear. They're obviously not invested in fossil fuels, that's for sure. Comment from a different viewer. I hope Phil has a lot of help with stopping the assault on natural gas. With the left are the foxes running the government henhouse with their virtue signals instead of common sense. How does common sense stand a chance? The blowing up of 7 windmills a few weeks ago, where are they going to put the toxic blades from them? Has there been a study done on windmills to see if they actually offset their own costs? I wonder if they do, because they're expensive, especially after the fact of disposing of them. Finally, Phil, the expansion of the new apartment complexes and the new housing is a huge boom all over the South for people fleeing to Republican state. A lot of people leaving New York, it's because of necessity, not just warm weather. That's such short-sightedness of the Democrat-controlled state of New York. I don't think they'll ever have a smack themselves in the forehead realization of anything that they've done to destroy New York. Thank you for those comments. Keep them coming in. Your questions coming in. We'll be right back after this. Stay with us.
Come explore the magic of Knapp Winery. It's the perfect fusion of wine, food, and panoramic views. This charming destination will delight every palate with a curated wine flight, wine by the glass, or your favorite bottle to share. Some special finds to try are Knapp's iced wine, dry rosé, and Saperavi. While soaking in the view, you may want to enjoy a brunch, lunch, or dinner at the on-site restaurant. Book your experience at Knapp Winery today.
When I was in law school, my father had to stop working when he developed early Alzheimer's. Social Security disability benefits saved my parents financially. I'm Peter Gorton of Lockwood & Gorton. Now I'm a lawyer who helps people when they need Social Security disability. If you can't work, I'd like to help.
For a free consultation, call Lockman & Gorton toll-free 1-800-698-0567.
Your tap water is delicious. I know, right? It's this Culligan Smart drinking water system. What do you think is going on in there?
I'm smelling a touch of chlorine.
Yeah, I'm detecting some PFAS.
I'm also getting notes of lead.
Perfection.
Sending it up.
Here we go.
Certified to reduce more than 70 contaminants, it's like having your own team of water experts. See the smart difference at Culligan.com.
I was diagnosed at 65.
37. Earlier than most.
Every 9 minutes, someone is diagnosed with Parkinson's disease.
And every one of them can turn to the American Parkinson Disease Association.
Visit apdaparkinson.org to learn more and show you.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. In that studio, Assemblyman Phil Palmisano. Comment from Mark. Mark says, Phil, it was very nice meeting you at the Dwayne Eddy Memorial. Yes. I think you talked with Mark. I did too. I got to meet Mark. On the other hand, I can't see how the people in New York State are going to afford getting rid of gas appliances and switch to electric ones. I certainly can't afford it. I think even if you could afford it, is that where you want to go with your money?
You should have the choice. If you want a gas stove, you should have a gas stove. If you want an electric stove, you have to electric stove. You shouldn't be forced to do it.
All right. Quick question on this one. This is kind of almost a yes or no. Phil, does Sliwa have a chance to save New York City from socialism? State-run grocery stores, that's just another way to lord over and therefore control the masses. Where do all these crazy people come from? That's an interesting race. Your co-worker, is that the right word?
My co-worker, yes, he is.
Mamadani, who's very rarely in Albany, clearly.
Yep.
The polls are showing he's probably got it.
Sounds like he's running away with it. That's amazing
Cuomo
to me.
didn't do us any favors. Not that I wanted Cuomo to win. I'm just saying he was so cocky at the beginning, didn't have to campaign, and now he's playing catch-up.
He felt like he was entitled. He thought he was going to walk right into it, and he's not.
I know it. Well, there we go. There's our questions. But the energy tour is going good. The hearings, what have they been like?
The hearings have been. I mean, I don't stay for the entire hearing because they let us.
How many people are they getting?
They're getting crowds. I've gone. I've been there at the beginning, so people testify. And if I'm talking to the staff there, I know the staff because they've seen me. I always say I'll see you tomorrow night as I travel around the state. They say they've been sometimes an hour and a half, 2 hour meetings. So people come in, and really it's not a discussion with the energy board. It's just allowing for comments, and so it's not a back and forth. And people are talking for their time, and they get 2 minutes. So I'm usually.
How do you only do 2 minutes?
It's a challenge, but I'll tell you, they are very impressed with me that I can do it in 2 minutes.
Yeah, I am.
And so because one of my
you're so passionate about it, it must drive you crazy when it's over. It's thinking how much you couldn't fit in that 2 minutes, right?
Well, the way I worked it is I looked at it. There's been 7 of them, I think, so there's 14 minutes at least. But I just break it down to 2 minutes to each one, and just hit on a different topic that I talk about on a regular basis, and just kind of reiterating the point that again we're calling. I talked to the governor's office personally last week. I said, you need to have 4 additional hearings. How can you ignore those 4 locations, those regions? Those people deserve to have a voice. And I'm like, let the governor come out and do it. Because we wrote, both the Senate and Assembly Republican Conference wrote a letter to the governor and President Harris saying, have these 4 additional hearings and extend the public comment by 90 additional days. And I said to her staff, let the governor come out and say, hey, I'm asking for these. Let her take credit. I don't care. But these people deserve to have these hearings. So I don't know what's going to happen with that. But yeah, I bring up the points. The last one, otherwise, on the schedule is Long Island on Monday. I'm heading down there Monday.
They couldn't be bothered to put one somewhat in driving distance for us.
Yeah, I mean, because think about it. If you're in Corning, you would have had to go to Rochester.
Right.
Or Buffalo.
Yeah. Really,
because or Albany. Those are the closest ones to you. Someone from Binghamton has to go 2 hours to Albany or 3 hours to Rochester. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. We're down to the Hudson Valley. It doesn't make sense.
No, I do want to mention, and then we're going to change up topics here, Phil, because we got a lot to talk about. But I did see that the public hearings, they've set dates, and this is for NYSEG and the proposed rate hikes. I don't know if you saw that on Empire Report this morning. Just so people know, and I'll read these later on in a future broadcast, but probably the closest to us, too close to us, Binghamton on October 7th from 1 to 6 p.m., 1 and 6 p.m., excuse me, at the Binghamton City Hall. And then there's going to be a NYSEG one in Ithaca at 1 p.m. and 6 p.m. on the 8th. Okay, so what did you think when you heard some of the halt recommendations that came out this week, right?
Yeah, I saw the report come out, and two things that caught my eyes. One, it was unanimously approved by the members of the committee, which included NYSCOBA, which included the public employees unions, who are those individuals working inside our correctional facilities, both state and local. And the fact that they came out in support of it, I think was a positive sign. I mean, listen, one thing we know since the implementation of HALT's been an absolute disaster, a dangerous disaster. and we know changes needed to be made. Like I still fully support and believe a full repeal is needed. But all you have to do is look at for the viewers, look at the statistics. Since HALT was implemented 3 years ago, inmate on staff assaults are up over 76% to a record high of over 2,000 assaults in a year. But even more staggering, because a lot of these individuals care about the inmates, inmate on inmate assaults are up over 169% during that same period to up nearly 3,000. And the same thing with contraband seizures is up over 32% to a record high of 4,700 seizures. I mean, so those signs right there show that HALT is a failure, not working. My colleagues, the Democrats, always want to ignore those stats. They even say they're not true. I go, they're from the Department of Corrections. They're not Phil Palmisano's number. They're the department's numbers, and they don't believe it. And even in one hearing, in one meeting, they even blamed the corrections officers for bringing the drugs into prison.
I remember that. I watched that.
It was
outrageous, and it was
outrageous,
so
and
disrespectful.
But so I believe there should be a full repeal. But the fact of the matter is, this took some good steps. You know, the fact that they had NYSCOBA part of the discussion, because they were never part of the discussion on the HALT or some of these policies. The fact that they had a public employees union who are part of the employees working there, whether the corrections officers, civil, I think that's important. So there were some changes made as far as being able to segregate people through segregated confinement, through some of the policies for expanded opportunities. I think that's a positive thing. It's not a solution, but in my opinion, I think I said in my statement, this is a step in the right direction, and doing something is better than doing nothing.
Comment from a viewer: with all due respect, why is Curtis Sliwa being ignored by everybody? Doesn't a Republican who has actually been in the thick of it for decades deserving of some attention? Please help me understand. I think because you're always going to have the media give the attention to, well, first it would have been Cuomo, and then when the kind of socialist wing, Mamadani, took over, they're always going to get more attention. I do think it's interesting that Adams has gotten more of a conversation than Sliwa, because the polls show that he polls above Adams.
Yes.
So I can understand your frustration. It's just the kind of the nature of the media and also New York City politics, and it stinks, but that's where we're at. What do you think? Before I talk about another topic, I wanted to mention this because I saw the pictures and we brought it up on the air, and I know this is so important and near and dear to your heart, but the DMV employees receiving the Soaring Award from Donate Life. That was very nice.
That was very nice. That was the second year in a year in a row they won that. And it was nice that Commissioner Mark Schroeder from the DMV came down to attend that recognition. And I will tell Mark, I served in the assembly with him as a DMV commissioner. No one doing more for this issue than he is. He sets the tone, and it comes right down to Judy Hunter, who's the clerk, and then all the employees. The fact that they got that recognition is great. And I would tell them, they're saving lives. They asked the question to the person coming in to renew their license or renew their registration, do you want to sign up to be an organ donor? And they're asking the question because the more, and I believe firmly, the more you ask the question, the more people will say yes. And yes, it's a very personal issue to me. I don't want to go through it all now, but people know my sister Teresa was a 2-time organ transplant recipient, first from the kindness of a stranger, and second in 2006, I had a privilege to donate a kidney to her. I just never realized how bad the numbers were till I went to Albany. Unfortunately, I lost my sister in 2013, but I still tell people she was lucky. She had 2 transplants. Some never had 1. But we've made tremendous progress since 2011, but we have more work to do.
And also, you were the keynote speaker, right, at the 8th Annual Organ, Eye, and Tissue Donation Seminar.
Yeah, that was.
What was that like?
That was good. They had asked me to come up there, and they knew this is obviously an issue that's important to me. So I was able to give a brief history, briefly talk about my sister Teresa a little bit more in that presentation, and our relationship, how she was diagnosed with juvenile diabetes at the age of 13, and how that really set the stage for how that impacted her body. But to talk about that, talk about the work we've done, talk about the people that I think have impacted this issue, like my former colleague Jim Conti, who was a 2-time kidney transplant recipient. Really, he was a leader in this situation. Talk about Lauren Shields, a 12-year-old brave little girl who had a heart transplant, then let her name and voice and vision to advocacy for this issue. That's how we have they call Lawrence Law. So when you go into the DMV and you have to answer the question, do you want to be an organ donor, yes, or skip the question, you have to answer that question. You don't have to say yes, but you have to say either yes or skip the question. That legislation is named after her. So people like her, even my colleague Crystal Peoples-Stokes, so the majority leader, other side of the aisle, has done yeoman's work on this issue. Her daughter was a kidney transplant recipient. Her daughter passed away too. In the past 2 years, we've hosted a bipartisan rally in Albany, and we have Democrats and Republicans, senators and assembly members coming together for this issue. This transcends party lines. This is about saving lives, and to work with her on legislation and other issues. So there's a lot of them people that I was able to talk about at that speech, and it's about saving lives. So please, if you're an organ donor already, great. If you're not, please consider joining.
A couple of quick things here from viewers. I got to take a break, though. Yeah, I'll find out more about those 7 windmills that got blown up in Madison, but I guess they'll probably end up replacing them. And in another 25 years of the windmill's lifetime, will there be exploding windmills all over the state around that same time? Good question. Ken wrote in about, okay, so the politicians being invested in for instance, green energy and things like that. What are your thoughts on that issue? Because there are a lot of people making a lot of money off of the green energy policies.
Well, I mean, I'll tell you, in the state of New York, what for us, we have to do a financial disclosure plan and we have to list our investments. So like for example, I'm not in a lot of stocks, but I obviously I own Corning, so I have to list that I own Corning. Right. If I'm in an IRA or a mutual fund, I have to say what the name of the fund is so people can see that. So I think it's similar to Congress, but so there is something that lawmakers have to do for the listing of some of those things that people want it, and they're all available to the public. So yeah, I have no problem with making transparency and how you ban things like that. It depends on what the fund is in, because if it's part of a mutual fund, it's kind of hard to do that because you're not managing the fund. Maybe for individual stocks, you could probably look at doing something like that. But you got to have, the most important thing you need is transparency and disclosure now. And I think in Washington, it's a little different too. So we'll see.
All right, we got to take a break. Coming up next, the lightning round. Stay with us.
When you're online, don't forget to visit our Facebook page at Big Fox News. Catch up on news from the Twin Tiers. Vote on the daily question and hear about local events. All on Facebook.com/Big Fox News.
This is a Collector Consumer Alert. Hi, my name is Jared Johnson with SueTheCollector.com. Did you know that repossessions are on the rise in America? If your car, truck, or motorcycle has been repossessed by an agent that broke a lock, assaulted you, or trespassed on your private property, you have rights. Call us for a free case review at 1-877-BAD-REPO. You pay nothing unless we win money for you. Call me now.
It's a brand new 2025 Hyundai Tucson SEL all-wheel drive featuring power liftgate and heated seats. No money down for only $369 a month for 36 months. Make car buying simple. Drive your deal at Simmons Rockwell Hyundai in Big Flats.
Whether our stories, the warmth of our laugh, or our family's secret sauce, we all bring something different to the table. So make some space. The power of connection is waiting right outside your comfort zone. Learn how you can help strengthen your community at belongingbeginswithus.org/teamup.
This isn't your father's library. Create with the 3D printer. Release your inner audio engineer or sewing machine riddles, all with your library card. Go to getyourlibrarycard.com today.
You lather, rinse, moisturize, repeat, and repeat. But it never feels like enough. It's not your products. It's your water. Hard water leaves a mineral residue that clogs pores and dries out hair. Culligan water softeners remove damaging minerals, revitalizing brittle hair and dry skin. Upgrade your shower and skincare routine with Culligan, water you love.
The Fox Sports app isn't just any sports app. It's your sports app. Your teams, your highlights, your scores. Get more of what you want. To the end zone. Stream your teams live. It's free with your pay TV subscription. Grab your Fox Sports app today.
If you have one regularly used hair relaxers or straighteners and were diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, you may be entitled to significant financial compensation.
I've used hair relaxers for years. I had no idea they could cause cancer.
Chemical hair relaxers and straighteners have been linked to serious conditions, including several types of cancer. If you used hair relaxers and have been diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, call us now. There's no fee unless we win your case. Call today.
We are back. Thank you to Boss Security for that amazing view. We're broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. In that studio, we have Assemblyman Phil Palmisano. Phil, everybody talks about it. What do you think? At least Stefanik. We're getting close to November now, I guess, at least. Do you think, what are you hearing? A lot of comments, a lot of press releases regarding what Hochul's doing. It's got to be, right?
Well, I hope so.
Yeah.
She's certainly very vocal, very visual around the community, around the state, which is a good thing. And certainly she's a well-known leader in New York State, especially among the Republican Party. I think Democrats know her too. I mean, the job she did on Kathy Hochul at that hearing was phenomenal.
I still watch
the job she did on the university presidents last year regarding anti-Semitism and protests going on in their school. She's phenomenal. So she will be a strong candidate for us. If I do wish she would have got in the race sooner, but it is what it is.
She is selling her house in Washington. That's interesting. I just read that there.
Yeah. So no, she's going to be very, very formidable. Because one, she's also raising. She has the ability to raise a lot of money, which we need to raise money for
this race. She's got name recognition.
She's got name recognition. And I think she can even roll with federal dollars. So everywhere I go, people ask me, "Is she going to run? Is she going to run?" I think she will. I hope she does. If she doesn't, then it's a challenge. But but yeah, I think she will. I think she knows that we need. We have such a tremendous opportunity to take back this governorship.
Yep.
It's been a long time. We haven't had a Republican governor since 2006 was the last year of George Pataki's term. The timing has been. The policies that they're implementing, I mean, think about under one party control that brought us the CLCPA, that brought us the Farm Labor Act, that brought us the bail, the discovery, all the criminal justice reforms, the massive prison closures, things like that. It's one thing after another. So we have an opportunity to take back this governorship and change the direction of the state for the better direction.
Mark writes in, Frank and Phil, great show today. Very informative. Have a great day. Well, thank you. Mark mentioned earlier on the program, he saw you at the Dwayne Eddy Memorial, the tribute, the dedication with the historic marker. Thank you so much for coming to that. That was wonderful. I know Dwayne's wife loved the proclamation, and I thought it went well.
That was great. And really, to you, Frank, and to your committee of four, what tremendous work you guys did. And it was really an honor and privilege to be a small part of it, to present the resolution or the citation to her and her family. And what a turnout from the family, over 20 members. That was great, just to say, thank you. I had my Dwayne Eddy sticker on.
Yeah, you were ready.
I was the only one but that sign was beautiful.
Didn't it turn out great?
You're not going to miss it.
No.
You shouldn't miss it. So it was just great. But I just really wanted to say thank you for all your hard work and what you've done. And I think we're really what the mayor did.
Perfect.
The key to the city, and then Dwayne Eddy Day. I mean, I thought it was phenomenal.
I thought, and we couldn't have had better weather.
No,
I thought we could have controlled that.
The weather, and we had a great turnout. The people came over. A lot of people from Corning came over, and then you had some other people kind of coming over and checking it out. I thought it was great.
People put it right around 200 people, which for an unveiling or ribbon cutting, that's a lot of people.
Yeah, it's a lot of people, and I'm glad the media showed up to kind of give credit to Dwayne Eddy and what he meant to this community and what he still means to rock and roll.
And will always mean to rock and roll.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, absolutely. And then just really a credit to you again, you and your committee. Great work. Thank you.
Comment from a different viewer. Thank you so much, Phil. Glad you're on our side. That's nice, isn't it? And okay, finally, we're going to end on this. Another positive note, Dwayne Eddy, to this. Tuesday, yesterday, we talked with our first group of kids from San Giovanni Valderno, Italy. I look forward to this every year. We're having them come in.
Yeah, that's a phenomenal.
They didn't have anything like that when I was in high school.
No, me neither.
We went to Darien Lake. That's always my joke. We did.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah.
But no, I've been lucky to, usually every year the welcoming, I try to get there, and I think I've gotten to most of them, if not all of them. I remember taking my son there one time, and he was interviewed on the news. He goes, "We had cake and we had pasta." So it's fun, but and it was fun watching the kids do the interviews on TV. I didn't want to be a part of that. That's their day. But I had, I was able to present a presentation, like a citation to them, and I kind of started it out that I thought we had three speakers. George Bakalis, did the one welcome. He's Greek.
Right.
Mayor Bowen, Ray Felizzo presented his presentation. He's Irish. And then Phil Palmisano, the Italian. So I thought that was
got the hero's welcome.
Yeah, that's right. So I wanted to make sure I clarified that. And of course, Bill Bowen, the next day I saw him at the Dwayne, and he goes, That was a cheap shot, Phil. I'm just facts,
saying,
Phil.
just trying to
There's
get him on
nothing
myself.
wrong, just all facts. We're always about the facts here.
Yeah, and he's been such an important. We got to go,
Yeah.
but I can't wait. I've got the second group, so they broke it up into two. So I get to hear them have them on the show to find out how it is at the beginning when they first got here, and then as it kind of winds down.
And what a great testament to this partnership, family collaboration between Corning and San Giovanni. What a great history.
I know. Phil, thanks for giving us so much time this morning, and let's do this again soon, okay?
Look forward to it.
All right, join us tomorrow morning with Frankly Speaking, only on WYDC TV, Big Fox.